Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. It is December 6th, and my name is Cindy. Thank you so much for finding me, for joining me, spending a few moments of your day with me. It is very much appreciated, so thank you so much. So, here we have it. The Nancy Pelosi has indicated that she wants the House to proceed with writing articles of impeachment. Once that's done, there's a vote in the House, which basically will determine if he is or is not impeached. He's going to be impeached because, the Democrats hold the House, and so they are simply going to be able to impeach him. Now, that is not the same thing as getting removed from office. The whole getting removed from office portion of this takes place in the Republican-led Senate. And a lot of people are really, really not expecting him to be removed from office by the Senate. The impeachment, the label impeached, will forever be associated with his name, sort of not unlike the way it still remains associated with Bill Clinton, okay? It is just sort of a title that you get that doesn't go away because you don't like it or don't, want it associated with you. So, what I thought I would do today is take a look at the Senate led, the Republican led Senate. And, those hearings should be starting to determine whether or not he's going to be actually removed from office early in January, I think, after they come back sort of from their holiday break. And, I am mindful of the fact that a good number of astrologers and, in fact, readers have all said that January is going to be a particularly sort of precarious month for Trump. So I thought that's what we should look at. We should take a good look and see what's going on with the GOP now and possibly, sort of what their strategy is going to be come January. So come on down. I have a question. All right, we'll give it one more shuffle. So, Republican Senate hearings, Republican Senate hearings. Okay. So, first of all, the White House, Trump, is loving that this thing is going to go to the Senate. That's why he was tweeting about, if you're going to impeach me, just get it over with because, then the whole thing will move to the Senate. He's actually not clever enough to understand. I'm pretty sure that once the House votes on impeachment, he's impeached. Be that as it may. So he sees that as a win for him. He sees this thing getting into the Senate as a good thing for him because he feels that he controls the Senate. Now, whether it's that he controls Mitch and, Mitch controls the Senate, or whether it's he thinks he controls the Senate, or whether, somebody else whose name maybe starts with a P and ends with an N and lives kind of over yonder the sea, maybe he's in charge of it. For God's sakes, nobody really knows anymore. But from Trump's perspective, this is a good and positive thing. Now, from the Senate's perspective, it's a wee little bit different, and this is why. The Senate, to whatever degree they think is possible, would really prefer that this whole hearing be conducted in a somber and respectful way. Because whether he's removed from office or not, their names now go down in history. And the transcripts of the trials go down in history. And it may be very cute to be, belligerent and dismissive and sarcastic. But that may be very cute today and tomorrow, and maybe even next year it'll play well. It's not going to play well in 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 years from now. And some of the Republicans are starting to recognize, just quietly in their heads are thinking, this is terrible. Like, I have spent my whole life building up a reputation and a name for myself and respect and whatever else they think they've actually built for themselves. I mean, some of them I think are a little wee bit delusioned, but teach their own. And now it's all going to come tumbling down and fall apart because, Trump literally wants to turn this hearing into two things. One, a love fest for Donald Trump, which means he is going to freak out every single time something gets said that is not flattering to him. So, yeah. And secondly, he really wants this thing to be a circus. He wants it to be a big performance for a couple of reasons. One is because that's what appeals to him, right? He mentally, the more sort of bully in the playground it is, he just thinks that's amazing stuff. And he wants that energy reflected onto him. He likes kind of that carnival atmosphere because he feels, and honestly, in some ways, he's not incredibly wrong. He feels that what that can do is provide for a bunch of distractions so that even though the other side may be scoring points, the points are kind of smudged by the fact that there's all this other crazy going on. So on the one hand, you have senators who are moving into a position where, yes, there's a few who are going to, sacrifice themselves on the altar of Trump, okay? But by and large, there's sort of this sense of, I've given so much and it's going to be destroyed. I at least want to appear to be respectful of my country, my constitution, and frankly, my own name. But that's not what Trump's looking for, right? Trump is literally looking for clowns dancing around and car crashes and, bombshells dropping from the sky that benefit him. Unfortunately, there are bombshells. I'm just not so sure they're actually going to work to his advantage. So, it looks as if the Senate hearing is going to move along fairly quickly. It is going to either appear or have the appearance of, or maybe even possibly be. It's not going to be rushed through crazy fast. But they're also not going to drag this out. It's going to be day after day for several hours to kind of get through this, in part because everybody wants this behind them one way or another as, sort of that whole election thing really, really gears up. So, Republicans are acutely aware of the fact that their base want, they want this stopped, okay? They think Trump is innocent and chosen. Let's not forget chosen. And so they just want this to go away. And anybody who doesn't facilitate it going away are going to basically face their wrath. So there's that. And then there's that other component that the GOP senators are dealing with, which is, which is the fact that if they do something and Trump doesn't like it, then they have to put up and tolerate sort of a Twitter attack from Trump. And if that is coupled with the fact that their own constituents don't feel that they should, that their behavior was appropriate, or they shouldn't have said that terrible, mean thing, or they shouldn't have voted that way, or whatever it is, they're sort of going to get it from both sides. So as well, I don't have a whole wick of sympathy for the position these senators are in. There's definitely, a concern. So that's going on. And, somebody said it very well today. They said that Mitch McConnell, Moscow Mitch's only job, his highest imperative, is to maintain the majority in the House. That is his function. So the question then becomes, is he going to do what Trump wants to hear? Is he going to keep on trying to juggle that ball? Or is he finally going to say, you know what, I have to save myself and my senators, because Trump is going to come and go, my legacy basically lives on, that kind of thinking. Or in some cases, just I need to be reelected for the next, 6 years. So they are really, really in a difficult place. And, this is it, right? The truth is coming after the whole situation. And there's going to be broken hearts that come out of this. Almost, it doesn't matter which way. So, of course, if he gets voted out, the Democrats are going to be happy. The Republicans are going to be horrified and sad and miserable. And frankly, vice versa, right? So, in some ways, nobody's going to end up thrilled with whatever happens. But it looks as if this Three of Hearts tends to represent, or is representing to me, sort of senators who are going to come to very much regret the stand that they took in defending Trump. At some point, the truth is going to come out to a planet. Again, it might not be for 4 years, or not 3 years, or 2 years. Do you know what I mean? It's at some point, though, everything that went on behind the scenes, everything that was done to protect this guy, everything that was sort of really shady or really just not honorable to protect him, those people are going to end up having to answer that somewhere down their own life journey. And so there's definitely going to be some disappointment there and some real regret and sadness. And there are people who are literally going to end up having to walk away what was lucrative for them, because there is no longer any support, right? They have to walk away from literally, the money, the status, and the prestige, because it has been destroyed. And now they don't have a way to justify it or explain it. Expect that there's going to be, tricks. Expect that both sides have got some stuff up their sleeves, and they are going to do everything they can to make that work. Just as an aside, energetically, I don't think that Trump or his lawyers are going to choose to participate in the Judiciary Committee hearings or inquiry that's going on right now under Nadler. I feel as if they're going to dismiss it, sort of say, it's a sham and we're not taking part in this witch hunt, yak, 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 but probably will take an active part in the actual Senate hearing, because let's face it, Trump feels that he has more allies there, and he feels that he will get a softer ride. Here, they're going to be put in a position of trying to defend the indefensible, and that doesn't work so well. And certainly really hasn't so far. Okay, so we've got a judgment being rendered, okay? So there's a judgment coming, and sadly, at this point, I am literally reading this because this is a GOP reading. I am reading this as the GOP will prevail. But don't give up hope. Do not give up hope. I want you to remember that there is something that is going to happen. January, possibly February, maybe even March, but I don't think it's going to take quite that long. There's going to be a major and significant truth that comes out that is going to give great strength to the people who are fighting for and trying to achieve a place where truth and honor once again have some standing and importance. And what it is going to do is it is going to tie the hands of the GOP, and it is going to be connected with Trump and how he makes his money, how he made it in the past, assets, whatever it is. It's a heavy burden coming down, and I don't know that that is actually something he's going to be able to survive, because there comes justice. Okay. So, that to me kind of looks like the whole GOP situation. It, it's going to be interesting. It's probably going to be very frustrating for truth seekers, for people who have a much clearer vision, kind of what Trump's behavior is and what it represents and what it means. But just remember, ultimately the truth comes out, and ultimately it's not working well. I mean, it's just not going to end well for the guy. So don't get discouraged. Don't, feel like, the world is ending. If it doesn't look as if the hearings are going to go the way, the Senate hearings are going to go the way the Democrats wish, or people who are of like minds. But don't lose hope, because there is something coming around the corner. Now, excuse me for smirking, but it's kind of cute. Okay, so Joe Biden, whose sort of platform, if you will, is that nobody else has the experience that he has to sort of start getting things corrected in a global way, sort of start fixing some of these relations with allies, and more importantly, put some real muscle behind pushing Russia back. So he released a commercial yesterday. I'm sure many of you might have seen it, and it denotes, it shows Trudeau and Merkel and Boris Johnson and Princess Anne and somebody else, and I don't know what country he's associated with, standing around and basically laughing at Trump's antics and his behavior. So that segment, that little video clip, has been added into this new ad that Joe Biden is running. Literally as if to say, he has made us a laughing stock of the world, and that is not an inaccurate statement. But the first time I saw it, all I could think was, oh Lord, this is just going to send Trump around the crazy bend, right? Because if there's one thing he can't tolerate, it's being diminished or made to feel like he is, not being respected. Anything that smacks of, insult, or anybody finding him, less than, just really upsets and aggravates him. So I thought it was in some ways a really nice strategic move on Biden's part. The other side of it is, of course, that is going to aim some more fire at Biden. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Okay, so what I thought I would take a quick look at, it's Friday, so we're going into the weekend. There's this new Biden ad out. There's, court cases and things over the past week or two that have not gone really well for Trump. You've got Giuliani in the Ukraine still trying to stir that pot. And frankly, he's taken a real whipping the last couple of weeks between the Intel Committee hearings and now the Judiciary Committee hearings. So I thought I wanted to take just a quick little peek and see what might be going on, either with Trump or, in fact, sort of, those around Trump, his family members, that kind of stuff. So let's just focus in and take a quick look and see how Donald Trump's going to be over the next, handful of days or so. So that would be my question. Trump, mental health. Trump, mental health. Trump, mental health. All right. So he was humiliated on the world stage, right? That is not making him happy. He's just not happy about it. And Trump is vengeful and vindictive. And so he's going to try to find a way to go after the people he feels were laughing or diminishing him. So there's going to be some fireworks about that, just because this is a guy literally who will not let anything go. So expect some, snarky comments, etc., against people that he, so that circle of people. He's going to be very busy communicating, and he's going to be communicating. This is a page. He's going to be communicating in a way that is childish and juvenile. In some ways, he has been thrown off of his game. He has lost his balance. There is no temperance with him. There is no being able to rein in his emotions. Right now, it is just literally screaming and yelling. And what has made it worse is that he's really getting confused. So he remembers the emotional response, but may not have a great deal of clarity on remembering exactly what was said or how it was said, or honestly, even why it ticked him off at the moment. He just will relive the emotional, either humiliation, hurt, being ashamed, whatever that's what replays over and over in his mind. And so honestly, in some ways, this is kind of like getting him confused, because he has all of these bubbling, seething emotions rolling around, but he's having trouble sort of pinpointing exactly what caused the emotional reaction. And so what you get is this real volatility. There's this real sense of, talking two stories at once and thinking they make sense, literally. Spilling things that should be kept behind closed doors, saying things that are really, really inadvisable. And not really having clarity. So, he literally, this is going to be one of those, he says one thing, and within the same paragraph of thoughts, he has also taken the opposite position and seems to feel that somehow they make brilliant sense. The people around him in the government really are getting a wee little bit concerned. He's becoming a little bit almost too imperial. Okay, he's really, really drilling down on this. You will behave and act and say and do exactly as I say, because I am all the things that he thinks he is. So there is definitely some concern going on there. There's a lot of talk behind the scene. Okay, people who are in his circle are talking about him behind his back, because frankly, they're trying to figure out how to create a safety net for him. And they're not having a good time of it, because he just keeps making the situation bigger and bigger and more horrible, and he keeps firing it up and just making it grow. He just is doing a great job of that. And so ultimately, that ends up putting him on the defense, and it ends up putting them in a position where they're spending this time trying to figure out how to sort of minimize, almost literally, the illumination that he is causing upon his own self. So they've got kind of, and again, you're going to expect to see, clean up, people coming up and trying to clean up what he's saying, trying to soften the edges of what he's doing. It's not going to work. People are so on to him. And for the vast majority of people, they really have made up their mind and decision about what kind of shape he's in and what that looks like. So a lot more volatility going forward, and a lot more talking from him. A lot more. There's going to be lashing out. He's going to be on that White House lawn, shaking his fist and screaming. I see him slamming down phones in the Oval Office. So literally, he gets on the phone and roars at somebody to do something and then slams it down. So there's like a lot of really volatile and angry and hurt energy that is swirling around him. And so you've got a situation where he's going to be really hard to handle. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And so certainly going through the weekend and through the next week, you can expect some just busy times, crazy times, communications that don't make any sense, people trying to clean it up behind him. They make even less sense. So, yeah. Let's just see how that goes. All right. So for right now, once again, thank you so much for the support of this channel, the comments, the likes, the subscribes, the thumbs up are brilliant. Thank you very, very much. I wish everybody a wonderful and peaceful weekend as we chug along towards holiday season. And I think until next time, take care, be well, and I'll see you soon. Bye.